and it is a lovely afternoon. I think I might go out later. Anyway, I got news today through my wonderful connected internet thingy that the notorious website known as Gender Trender has been taken down, and that's interesting. Gender Trender actually was not a hosted website like mine. It was sitting on WordPress real estate, and if you sit your site on WordPress real estate, you get two things. You get quite a lot of added connectivity. You know, you get much more in the way of hits, because WordPress will direct traffic to your site in order to gain advertising. Nothing happens for nothing. The downside is that you have to play by the rules that WordPress set, and Gender Trender is edited anyway, it appears to be, and certainly founded by a person calling themselves Gallus Mag. Managed to use the, if you like, the dead name of a person in a post which I saw last week about somebody complaining that a woman had refused to perform a Brazilian waxing on his sexual organs, basically. This is an AGP trans woman who remains preoperative, who has all her kit, and wanted the woman to come and do this, and objected strongly to the fact that the woman refused. Unfortunately, Gallus Mag decided to name the person on the site. That flagged up to WordPress, and that was her ass out of there. It's not the first time that Gallus Mag has been banned. She was thrown off Reddit a couple of years ago. I mean, you know, if anybody in this area needs to accept that, you know, you're going to get banned by somebody, it's just a question of how much trash you don't have to deal with anymore, really. How do I feel about Gender Trender going down? Well, the first thing was that actually Gender Trender did produce a lot of good writing, and they flagged up a lot of good news stories. I was never going to agree with their basic editorial stance, but that doesn't mean that I approve of them being shut down in this way. I think it was careless of the owners or the operators of the site to not read the fine print, but there you go. Is this a question of the media, you know, the technical media, if you like, closing down free speech? Unlike situations which have happened, similar situations which have happened in places like Twitter and Facebook, other places like that, with various, there was a really clear breach of the rules involved here. The site did name someone. It used the previous name of someone who'd had gender reassignment, illegal gender reassignment, and in that, as far as I understand it, in that particular jurisdiction, as in the UK, it's illegal to name the person using their previous name. To breach the law, you're not allowed to breach the law using these people's platforms, and so it got trashed. Were people angling to have it trashed for a long time? Probably. Yes, probably. I'm a free speech libertarian. I think that all points of view, any speech, doesn't matter what it says, doesn't matter how aggressive it is, it doesn't matter if it's hate speech, it's all free speech, and it should not be closed down. I'm put in a very difficult position here because I still feel that. I mean, I don't think it was good that this site was closed, Gender Trender. I think Gender Trender had got itself into a position which was quite dangerous. It started off, let's be quite clear, I first became aware of it anyway, it was a standard TERF site. It was a standard trans-exclusionary radical feminist site. Didn't want to have anything to do with these trans. And they were mainly talking about AGPs. They basically left HSTS alone. Then they got involved in the recent efflorescence of the gendercrit movement. And you have to understand that a significant target of the gendercrit movement is in fact HSTS. You know, whereas the TERFs, generally speaking, were pretty okay about it. I mean, even Janice Raymond, who is really not a nice person, Sheila Jeffries. I mean, these are people you cross the road to avoid. Would give some tiny little bit of, oh well, maybe the HSTS aren't so bad, you know, there's only a few of them, da-dee-da-dee-da. They're patronising, condescending, nasty women. But even they really left HSTS alone. They weren't going for it. Unfortunately, the gendercrits are, and one of their big targets is HSTS. They really want it to stop happening. They want to prevent HSTS from being allowed to transition, which, by the way, is not going to happen. And it's at that point that I really began to have issues with gender trender. Certainly have posted on their blog. They don't always print my stuff. It's a problem. You have to separate out HSTS. I mean, I can understand the feminist argument with non-homosexual trans women, if you like, AGPs. I can understand that women looking at, you know, a 16-stone bruiser of a guy wearing a floral dress and a wig, walking into a women's toilet, and they're feeling a bit like, wait a minute, this is a little bit intimidating. And you know, I mean, I'm not insensitive, I can understand that. That's not a nice place to be. But when you're talking about someone like Sam getting abused for using a public toilet, a women's toilet, then yeah, I've got an issue here. I've got an issue with you people. Leave my fucking girlfriend out of it. And if you can't leave my girlfriend out of it, then, you know, you've got an issue with me. And that's what it really comes down to. So the Gender Trender site, which was, as I say, it was sitting on WordPress.com territory, they broke the rules. I don't like to see free speech infringed upon in any way at all. But I honestly can't believe that they were naive enough to think that they would get away with it forever. If you've got stuff on somebody else's turf, then you've got to be real careful about what you say. I mean, that's why I pay good money to have my own sites hosted. You know, and that's why I'm starting to put the videos that are on YouTube now are being transferred slowly, bit by bit. It takes a while to do all this stuff to my own site, so that they're hosted under my own hosting plan. So that they're on my site. It's my territory. Nobody can touch them. I mean, nobody who has an opinion now can really trust the platforms that are available, the so-called social media platforms, because they are running their own agenda. And unfortunately, they are all operating under US law, and US law is not paying a bit of attention, presumably because it suits the US lawmakers to have some people shut up. So all you can really do is try and find your own real estate to keep your site on. So there you have it. Do I feel bad about it? It's a difficult one, you know, because my enemy's enemy is my friend, and I'm no pal to AGPs. At the same time, I am really, really, really no pal to radical feminists, and I think that radical feminism is the most dangerous force applying in society today, and it is something we're going to have to do something about. I think that it is actually now the motivating force behind the extreme left across the Western Europe and North America. It is determined to destroy society, which it sees as a patriarchy, as if such a thing fucking existed. You know, the last Western patriarchy was the Third Reich, and we knocked that one out at great loss of men 70 years ago. There's no patriarchy. There's no, you know, the Radfem movement epitomizes exactly what was wrong with Marx's notion when Marx said that, oh, you know, once we've achieved what we want, the state will just wither away. And yeah, I mean, look at it. You know, the feminist movement was launched initially to get equal suffrage for women so that they had the vote. Then it was to get equal pay rates, it was to get equal access to work, it was to get protection, sex-based protection, so that people couldn't be discriminated against on the basis of their sex. And they've had that, they've had all of that for 50 years. And yet it still gets more, it still keeps asking for more. It's not withering away, it's achieved everything it set out to get, now it wants more. Feminists now want complete supremacy over society and the eradication of masculinity. That's what they want. So as you know, a function of that, Gallus Mag, I would rather that you'd been challenged and put down in a different way. But at the end of the day, you broke the rules. And I'm not going, while I do deplore the silencing of voices, you brought this one on yourself. You thought that you could get away with it because you're a loudmouth feminist. And eventually WordPress said, no, we ain't doing it, not going that way. It seems odd to have AGPs, a group that I have significant problems with, and a group that has many times attempted to silence me, and sometimes succeeded, on one hand, and Radical Femmes, a group that has also tried to silence me and occasionally had success, fighting off against each other in this. And it's really quite interesting to sit back and watch these two dreadful groups of people rip each other's innards out. And so I have a certain Schadenfreude today. That's what it is, certain Schadenfreude. I enjoy the sunshine. I might even have a cold beer, you know, and say, fare thee well, gender trender. Don't come back anytime soon.